New Year's Eve. Brendan looks a little different today over on the coast.
I'm partying already.
Yes,
5,
yes. Party
4.
on, Garth. But
No,
look, hey,
it's really
you're an
foggy
hour.
here.
Is that the oldest beach in America, St.
The
Augustine?
oldest city in America.
I know that. So that means it's the oldest beach.
Are you trying to say I'm old?
No, you're young. A lot younger than I am. No,
51
but look,
almost.
Happy New Year, everybody. Tomorrow is New Year's Day. Got a lot to cover today. Jordan Davis Hill in New Orleans covering Georgia and Notre Dame. Then we're going to have Ken Capps and the voice of the Texas Longhorns, Spanish broadcast, Ruben Pizarro. They've got affiliates all over, Argentina, Spain, all over. Yeah, it's gonna be fun. So we'll cover a lot of ground today. Hey, hit that subscribe button with your QR code in the bottom right-hand corner. Follow all of our sponsors. Support them. We love them. They make this happen. And executive producer Brendan Martin and I will always love you for it. So look, get pen and paper handy because it's a big day. Hunker down in the Crescent City. Jordan Davis Hill. There have been some classic games with Georgia and Notre Dame in the last 8 years. When 45,000 Georgia fans traveled to South Bend, that was cool. I mean, that really was. That was amazing. And then that game in Athens, and now you got this big one. Break it down for us as only you can. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. You're one of the best in the business and always appreciate you coming on because if you were a lawyer, you would be my lawyer.
Yeah, don't tell my parents that. They may try to make me go back to law school, but no. I think this is setting up for another great game, like you said, Rob. There hasn't been a boring game between Georgia and Notre Dame. Go back to New Orleans, January 1st, 1981, when Georgia winds up winning the national championship by beating Notre Dame. And I think this is the setup for this game. I mean, that this is going to be 4 quarters of knockdown, drag out football. Everybody has talked this week about Gunnar Stockton getting ready for his first start for Georgia. I think that we had a chance to talk to him at Media Day on Monday, and I give him a lot of credit. He's still very mild-mannered guy, not a big talk. You kind of have to lean in when he's talking. He's not a very loud guy, but I think he understands what he's walking into, and I'm just fascinated to see how this game is played out. I think this is kind of going to be a throwback, in my opinion, to like 1981, where I think whoever runs the ball the best has got the best chance to win this thing. I think Brendan's favorite Bulldog, Trevor Etienne, I think that he's the guy. I mean, he is the player to watch in this
You're
game.
welcome.
But on the other side, too, Jeremiah Love and those Notre Dame running backs, can they they're not going to have a game like they did against Indiana. There's not going to be a 98-yard touchdown run in this game. I know I'm going out on a limb saying that, Rob, but
yeah.
I think that Georgia has to slow them down and make Riley Leonard beat them. I think if Notre Dame's going to win this game, Riley Leonard's got to attack downfield. Is he able to do that consistently?
Yeah. Georgia's going to kick the Domers' ass, man. It's going to be I just feel like they're going to go out there and just lay an old school SEC woodshed. It's going to be like a pick your switch. I just feel like it's going to be one of those moments because I hate Notre Dame. Nothing against Catholic religion. I just don't like the Domers. I don't like anything about it. I grew up hating them. I don't like that they're always on TV. I grew up in Colorado. I grew up hating Notre Dame. I just don't like it. And I picked Georgia to win the whole thing this year.
I did too.
And so I really feel like Georgia's been waiting for this moment. You say it might not be a 98-yard touchdown run. Dude, Trevor Etienne, he's capable of all of that in a bag of chips and the side of ranch right now. And that guy is primed and ready to go. I think Kirby and that whole thing, whether it was planned or not, is played out because that dude's ready to showcase his deal. I think you are hitting him right in stream. And that's going to make a huge difference in this game. I think you're absolutely right, Jordan.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this is going to be a low-scoring game, whoever wins it. I just don't see either offense coming out here and just piling up points. And, I think the biggest thing, it's so simple in games like this, but I look specifically at this first half, and I want to see the turnover battle in the first half because if Gunnar goes out there and like the second or third drive throws a pick, that's putting a lot of pressure on the guy who is going into his first start. I want to see how he responds. I'll give him this, and I'm going to have a column probably about the time I get off of our show this morning uh, about this being Gunner's moment. And everybody around him has said nothing but good things. His teammates are super excited for him, happy to see him get this. This is his chance to prove, look, I'm not just a flash in the pan. I'm more than that second half and overtime against Texas. I'm going to be your starting quarterback in 2025.
Yeah.
This is show that he's willing and able to take on that role.
Jordan, the SEC prides itself on being a line of scrimmage league. Not that other conferences aren't, but this one's an elite LOS league. Where do you see an advantage for Notre Dame, or do you at all anywhere against Georgia's front seven on defense?
I mean, I really don't. I mean, and I think that one of the big blows for Notre Dame in that Indiana game was when their best defensive tackle gets hurt, and he's not going to play again this playoff, even if Notre Dame were to win the Sugar Bowl. So, I think that is significant when you look at Georgia, because if we looked at the line of scrimmage, either line of scrimmage for Georgia, the biggest weakness has been Georgia's run blocking. It's just been so inconsistent, which continues to surprise me because their pass protection has been great. I think Georgia's still in the top 10 as far as sacks allowed, and their run blocking has just been very inconsistent. But you take out your best defensive tackle. I've talked to some of our Notre Dame guys about the guys who will have to step up in that guy's place, and they're like, I mean, they're undersized. They're good players, but they're not what Notre Dame just lost. And I do think it's going to be a good game, but Rob, I feel comfortable saying you ain't going to beat Georgia with undersized defensive linemen. You ain't you're not gonna beat them with that are just going to play really hard. This is a huge Georgia offensive line, and this is a group that's a veteran group, guys that have been through the trenches and been through these battles. I don't like Notre Dame's set up there as far as that defensive line. Need everybody you got, and to lose your best defensive lineman is huge.
Yeah. Do you see many teams out there that work harder, make more of an intentional effort to get the quarterback involved in the running game? Who in the SEC is a quarterback and an offense similar to what Notre Dame tries to do with Riley Leonard out of Fairhope, Alabama, ignored by the two in-state schools? It happens a lot, though.
Yeah, it's funny with Riley Leonard, what could have been for Auburn. I know several people around the Auburn program that really wanted Riley Leonard this
Yeah.
offseason. Notre Dame. The Will Howard, everybody thought Will Howard was going to Notre Dame. He goes to Ohio State, and that kind of sets off these dominoes to where we are now. Yeah, looking at Notre Dame, I don't know that off the top of my head there's an SEC team that I just say that's exactly who they remind me of. But again, I want to see Riley Leonard in this moment. I've come into these games, and what I continue to go back to, not necessarily because they attack similarly, but both Texas games for Georgia. And I go back really to that first one in October where I picked Texas, but the day of the game, I just couldn't shake this thought. And it was, can Quinn Ewers beat Georgia? And I just kept going, I don't see it. And that's where I am with Riley Leonard. You look at that Indiana game in the first round, 6.3 yards per attempt. That ain't going to beat Georgia. You are not going to dink and dunk your way down the field. If you've watched Georgia this year and you look at the numbers, the way you beat Georgia or at least sustain long drives is you have to hit big explosive plays.
Yeah.
And those are not 5-yard passes that a receiver turns into 35. It's a deep shot and they get something on a corner who mistimes a jump. Like Riley's going to have to throw the ball down the field. I don't know if he's capable of doing that consistently. He's the guy, I said Trevor Etienne to me is the player for Georgia. It's Riley Leonard to me for Notre Dame. He's going to have to hit some throws down the field. He's going to have to be aggressive because I don't think 5-yard throws and 4-yard throws and just trying to build long drives, that's just not what it's going to take to beat this Georgia team and to definitely put up points against what is a really good Georgia defense.
I think the masterpiece for Kirby and Georgia's defense this year, Glenn Schumann, was the Tennessee game. Tennessee jumps out 10-0, 17 all at the half. The second half, it's all Georgia. You take away the deep, long passes from Nico Iamaleava. And Mark Ham, Tennessee fanatic, says he averages 169 yards in the big games in the SEC. And that's not good enough. And that's what I see Georgia doing to Riley Leonard. They're going to take away what he likes to do. I think that's what they're brilliant at.
And I think you're going to see them. They understand that the best part of this Notre Dame offense is that run game. And it's one of those things, to me, the way Notre Dame kind of ran the ball against Indiana reminds me of how Georgia ran the ball against Texas in the SEC title game. A lot of runs that just didn't really go anywhere, and then a couple of explosives.
Yeah.
Trevor had like a 48-yard run in that SEC title game. We talked about that 98-yard run Jeremiah Love had against Indiana. You just have to keep that run game in front. Make the 4 or 5 yard runs.
That's the SEC way, right? It really is. Like, earn the run game in each game, and you see it. And I just feel it's indicative of SEC football. You got to dominate the line of scrimmage. I know I'm being, redundant. I'm not saying anything that no one's ever said, but it's won truly in the trenches, and I think that's what makes SEC football the best. And I think that's what bodes well for SEC teams in college football playoffs, because when you're going to go up against this kind of a defense and the run, like you're going to go out there and first down, second down, you might get to the line of scrimmage, you might get an inch, but you're going to have to do it to prove that I'm going to give you that play action, and I can give you because I also have an SEC team, and we're going to beat you because we're also faster than you. By the way, I got a quarterback who can get you the ball in stride running down the sideline. So I think that's what makes me excited. I'm excited to watch this football game.
Yeah. I mean, Jordan, just tell us about, I know you got just a hard out at 15 after. Close out why Gunnar Stockton, Georgia fans should not worry. I've got Paul Wickenheiser listening, watching out in Reno, Nevada, one of my good friends, Georgia fanatic from Atlanta. Lives out west, but gets up to watch this show. And hey, actually, he's going to the game. He's got a suite reserved. He is, oh my God, he is a Georgia fanatic. But talk about him and the Boone, Jeff and Thomas Boone. A lot of people said, tell us about Gunnar Stockton.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a guy. He's not as good of a passer as Carson Beck, but he gives you the run game, and I'm fascinated to see what that looks like if they open up and give him some quarterback design runs. You saw a little bit of that in that second half against Texas. But the thing to me, as good of a player as Gunnar is, and as excited I know as he is, his teammates, I think that in that second half and overtime against Texas, they said, all right, we have to step up. This is not our starting quarterback anymore. Carson's watching from the sideline. I think that it has gotten everybody in that offense's attention that, look, we can't be dropping passes, which has been a problem every week this year. We have to block well up front. As running backs, we got to make the most of every carry. I think they understand that it has raised the level of play by the guys around him. Mm-hmm. And I don't diminish Gunnar by saying that. I think he's a very good quarterback. I thought even before that SEC title game, he had to be the favorite to be Georgia's starter in 2025. But I just think the change at quarterback, Carson getting hurt, it's put everybody on. There's no excuse to make mistakes. You can't afford it. This is a Notre Dame team that can beat you if you don't play well. I think that everybody's going in knowing they have to play probably their best game on offense all season to have a shot.
We're going to be watching it. And SEC, the people saying LSU fans in Louisiana that are Catholics, most of them will be pulling for Notre Dame. I think they're going to be pulling. SEC supremacy is on the line. Hey, how can they follow you, Jordan? Let them know.
Yeah, go to dogs247.com. Get ready for this big game. We're going to have a lot of content about to go. Listen to Kirby Smart, Marcus Freeman have a press conference, but on Twitter at Jordan Davis, Twitter at Dogs. A lot of good stuff as the countdown continues to New Year's Day and a big game.
It's going to be big. Jordan, Happy New Year. Be careful down there. We'll see you next week. Always, thank you so much. Brendan,
before we take on our next guest, let's get some of this. We got to pay some bills.
Yeah.
So let's talk to everybody about our wonderful sponsors over there at Winter Timber Outdoors.
Yeah, Winter Timber Outdoors in Athens, Alabama, folks. Right now, it's duck season, it's deer season, it's goose season. There's a lot going on. You can go quail hunting, all year long. All the shooting sports. I'm looking here at Michael Jordan and people I know that hunt. They've got a different gun for every sport. You can get them all at Winter Timber Outdoors. Huge Sitka dealer. Look at this on the screen, man. Brilliant job by Brendan showing all this. This is the power of having a great producer. But duck season, you've got to get geared up. You've got to get dog stands. You got to get deer stands. You got to get all the stuff to build your food plots. They have over 2,000 shotguns, rifles, and handguns in the store. A couple of items that I'll kind of focus on that they have is, check it out, the Rete Masimara GPS, buy one, get one free. Take a picture of that QR code with your phone. They've got all the top lines of shotguns, rifles, handguns, and they got a staff that knows what they're doing. Look, they're going to be growing all over the Southeastern Conference footprint. That's why they've partnered up with us here at SEC Sidelines Sports Network. Proud to have them. Let them know you heard about them on Sidelines. You can order stuff online. They have dedicated shipping that will ship anywhere you need items delivered to. And I want to say something also about Hewlett and Dunn after we talk about Landers, because they're right down the street from one another. And I'll be out there today and tomorrow. Landers Ford, Memphis.com. They're the number one Ford dealership in the Mid-South. They'll work with you. Brad Bellamy comes on the show on Fridays. He's got 18 years experience on the corporate side with Ford. He knows how to get you in a new vehicle or a used car, truck, or SUV. They're open Monday through Saturday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Huge service department. Great sales as well. Ask for Brad Bellamy, our friend, the general manager. Also, a lot of y'all know Kenny Myers, CBHS grad, one of the genuinely good guys you'll ever meet. Great family. Kenny Myers, 40 years in the car and truck business. He's out at Landers as well. Let them know you heard about him on Sidelines to take $500 off. And there's all kinds of, opportunities for you to save big. If you didn't buy your last vehicle from Landers, you probably paid too much. And now Hewlett and Dunn right down the street on the square. That's another one we'll talk about. They're open Monday through Saturday, back to the regular hours, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Over 7,000 pairs of men's and women's boots. Barber, Filson, right now, get out there. They're open. Great opportunity. They've got a 50% off rack with really good stuff like the Rock Mount shirts and Outback. Duck heads more than you'll see anywhere else. All these sponsors, proud to have them. And I'm taking some boots for Jimmy Calhoun, our friend. He's got a pair of boots. He said, do they redo boots? They have a couple of people that do it for them. You take them in there, they'll look better than they've looked since the day that you bought them. And look at all those belts that are made by the Amish, handcrafted, great selection of hats. It's that time to get Brendan like a cool looking hat or vest or something like that to wear on the show. But proud of all of our sponsors, and we'll talk more about them as the show goes on. Let's head out to Texas. Brendan, by the way, is that the beach right there? What is that behind you?
Yeah, undisclosed location, Rob. Okay. I don't like to talk about where I go. Okay. But let's just say it's a beach in St. Augustine. How about that?
There you go. I got you. Hey, Ken Capps, Football Writers Association of America. Ruben Pizarro, the voice of the Texas Longhorns, Spanish broadcast on here with us. Dave Cody made this connection like a week ago. I said, does Texas broadcast their games in Spanish? Because I heard Tennessee's games on the Sports Animal in Knoxville on the app in Spanish. And I was like, that's pretty cool. And after talking to Ruben over the weekend, it's like, man, college football is growing in places we didn't even know it was growing. But I do remember the first time I went to Austin was 1984 when Auburn played Texas. And I was like, man. And I, before that, had been down in the Valley bird watching at Laguna Atascosa and Harlingen and McAllen and Laredo, Nuevo Laredo and Brownsville. It's people down there are serious about their football. And Ruben, give us a little introduction of what it's like and how much fun it is broadcasting Texas football, not just in America, but where else are y'all on the radio?
Oh, thank you, Robert, for having me here. And well, the story starts like this. I played American football.
We got an echo back there. Yeah, you may have something on. I think you've got is there something, something on? We're getting an echo or something.
Okay, maybe I need to change the speakers.
Yeah.
Everything started in Mexico playing American football.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're getting it's a hard echo, so it's like it's feeding back on itself. So if you had your earphones on earlier, and maybe you switched that. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We'll go. We'll talk to Ken now. We'll get that fixed.
Ken, and by the way, they were showing Cisco's on True South this morning. 2 locations now in Austin. Yeah, I was like thinking about you. But all right, both of y'all, I guess, are in Atlanta. Kind of talk about the atmosphere and a certain very, very, very important member of the Texas family was not invited for the second time to come to Atlanta. But I digress.
Well, me and Ruben are actually sitting about 20 feet apart here in the media hospitality room in the Weston Peachtree. And we've already had breakfast together and gotten to know each other a little bit more. And, Ruben and his team do such a great job and are just amazing on the radio and what they're doing as far as spreading Texas football to not only the rest of the country, but around Texas and into Mexico is just amazing. And, I really envision one day, and I talked to him about this, I really envision one day that the Texas Longhorns are going to be playing a game in Mexico City, and it's going to be just one of the biggest college football games ever. And I hope I live to see it because I think Mexico's ready for it, and I know that the University of Texas can pull it off. But anyway, here in Atlanta, I mean, I've been talking about all week the Cinderella Sun Devils. Okay, so think about it. They come to the Big 12. They are picked last in the Big 12. And remember, when you're picked last in the Big 12, you're not 12th, you're 16th because there are 16 teams in the Big 12. Okay, so they're picked 16th. They win the conference, and all of a sudden they get a bye. So they're the number 4 seed, and so they're playing in the Peach Bowl against the Texas Longhorns. 6, you ready for this? 6 former Texas players are on the Arizona State roster, and they are loaded for bear and are ready to play the Longhorns and show them that they made a mistake in not keeping these kids in Austin. And you've also got the 2 biggest players who have been talking some really big smack here in the last few days. First of all, you have Cam Skattebo, the Sacramento native, who said, nobody can stop me. Nobody can stop me. Well, you know what? Texas he'll get some yards off of Texas, but I would be careful about making a statement like that because Texas has played some good backs this year and has stopped just about every one of them. But then you've got the redshirt freshman quarterback, Sam Levitt, who said that, I've been counted down and out all year, and I'm coming to this game to prove that I'm a better quarterback than Quinn Ewers. So those are pretty strong statements from those 2 players, and they're going to have a chance to back it up tomorrow at noon here in Atlanta. So I'm really thinking it's going to be a really interesting game. Texas favored by 13.5. I said that Texas was not going to cover the Clemson game, and they did. I think this will be another tight game, but then there are other people out there. I've been checking, predictions. People think that Texas is going to blow Arizona State out. I still just don't see it that way.
Yeah, Ruben, let's try it again. If it's
okay,
yeah.
How is now?
Go ahead.
Is the sound okay?
Yeah.
Well, okay.
Go ahead.
Everything
Give it a
started.
shot, Ruben.
Everything started in Mexico in 1896 when Missouri Tigers and the Longhorns of Texas played 3 exhibition games in Mexican territory. Since then,
1896.
1896, 25th, December 25th, Monterrey was the first game. And then they went and played 2 more in Mexico City, all the way back 1 game in Laredo. And then I started playing American football at age 15 in Mexico. When I was in high school, I was playing intramural tournament, but Mexico has played American football for more than 95 years in an organized tournament for schools and clubs. But Mexico doesn't have any American football gear factory. Everything got to be bought on this side of the border. Myself, I played and coached, and I got a medical doctorate in sports medicine and rehabilitation. And I worked for TV broadcasting NFL games. And the man who called me to broadcast those NFL games, because I had experience playing, he is in the NFL Hall of Fame. He just received this year um, the trophy called Rod Hay. Rod Hay, he was the one who founded the NFL. So Rod Hay pioneers. He is there. His name is Fernando von Rossum. He was recognized this year. From there, in '95, they brought me to do a TV show about NFL, and sponsored by NFL Films and mixed with salsa music. And we did it in '94, '95 in Austin, Texas. And from there, the University of Texas invited me to create a Spanish broadcast. And we've been broadcasting Longhorns games home and away since 1995.
Ruben, you've seen some pretty big moments in the last 30 years for Texas football.
Yes, sir.
In Spanish, I want you to describe Vince Young around right end against Southern Cal for the national championship. What did you say? What did you? And then I want to talk about what you called Colt McCoy.
We call nicknames and all those players like Vince Young is Superman, and Colt McCoy because Colt, and he throws some bullets. That's why we name him Pistolas McCoy. That nickname made him so famous even with the English speaking media.
I love it.
Yeah, right now Queen Ewers is La Joya, the Ewell. Who else there? Hill, the linebacker. He is the prosecutor, and we have, for example, Collins, the defensive tackle, is the chamacon. He is the big boy.
Yeah.
Last year we had Tibondre Sweat, and he was the big loaf, the big bread. That's what we have. We have so many more, like a list of 80 through all these years.
Ruben, you think about soccer's so big. I mean, you can't go into any Mexican restaurant I ever go into. There's soccer on every hour of every day. And I mean, I ate Mexican food 2-3 times a week. I told you my parents lived in Oaxaca one summer. I've been all over Mexico. It's a beautiful country. But I do remember being in Mexico City and seeing high school football teams practicing everywhere. So, you look at Ken, you're in Texas, 30 million people out there, and it's a big state. You see, I mean, I guess you hear the broadcast in both. And Ruben, how many other SEC schools are broadcasting their games in Spanish in addition to what Texas is doing?
The newest is Tennessee, Juan Carlos Lopez, and then we have Oklahoma that has broadcasted Spanish for 6 or 7 years, and then we have the Texas A&M Aggies. They have done it for the last 4 to 5 years. But we have at least maybe close to 20 universities broadcasting in Spanish. The other one is in California, USC. Also, we recognize Kansas. We recognize TCU, and all those schools. I mean, I think this is a trend, recognizing that Mexico is big in American football.
Yeah. Brendan, jump in here. I mean, you lived in Colorado. I don't know if Colorado's doing it or not, but that's all, old Mexico.
Yeah. Oh, I can hear right there.
Brendan, you there? Brendan, are you?
Yeah, I'm here. You
Okay.
there? Rob?
Yeah.
Yeah, I said I don't have a whole lot of insight on anything Mexico other than living in Colorado, but I don't know how that connects other than being close to New Mexico. But I did. I do know a lot about Telemundo, working for Telemundo in Colorado and covering a lot of soccer. So a lot of soccer drifts up north and that. So I have a lot of my early years working in TV. I worked on the Telemundo broadcast, so which is some of the biggest broadcasts in the world, by the way.
I would say there's a social element playing football in Mexico.
Yeah.
We started seeing the big cities with universities having
Wait,
football.
Ken, are you sitting close to Ruben? Are you guys sitting close to each other?
Like 20 feet apart.
Okay, because I think you hear each other's. I think your microphones are hearing each other's.
Well, I'm using headphones.
Oh, okay. I think that's the feedback, or we're getting the echo. So I just trying to. I think when I cut out Ken's mic, I hear less of your mic. So it's all right. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, and then the problem was that since we didn't have a football gear factory, it's difficult to play football in Mexico.
Hey, Ruben, where's your little lapel mic? Your microphone.
Here.
Yeah, put it up here.
Okay.
Right, no, right here on your pin, right here.
Oh, it's because it's wired.
Your thing. Yeah,
It's
flip it right here.
It's wired.
Oh yeah, then hold it. So because your laminate keeps rubbing our.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You are awesome, Brendan.
Yeah.
Thank you. Is that better?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay. Okay.
Go ahead.
I would love to say that we should include all the teams that have a high percentage of Latinos in the state. They should have the Spanish. I see it in Austin. The guys come from Mexico, maybe little towns that have not seen football, but they want to wear the colors. They buy the colors. They buy the hat. They go to the games. They buy houses. They buy cars. Why not? Yeah. And in Texas, it's not far, but it's going to become a Latino predominant city. So that's going to happen nationally. I guess I don't know when, but it's going to happen in some parts of the United States. And I'm so proud of this because teams like the guys from Oklahoma, we have made a bond with Tennessee, make a bond of the Spanish broadcasters, and one of these days we're going to be a strong group in the NCAA.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Ken, listen to what he's saying, and Brendan. God, I didn't know you. Brendan's worked. Ruben, I got a producer that's on another level, and I'm very blessed. And Ken,
I see that.
We're hearing the growth. We got to grow college football, and I know they have affiliates in Argentina and in Spain, but
yeah.
So this game tomorrow, Texas and Arizona State. Arizona State's already talking a bunch of smack. Quinn Ewers, Arch Manning. Who knows? Is this Quinn's last game? If they don't win, is he going to the NFL? Is he leaving? What's Arch Manning going to do? But we got to play a football game tomorrow in Atlanta. And damn it, Bevo won't be there. We need to have a Bevo cam that shows what he's doing during the game. That's another story. But Ken, give us the storylines that we're not hearing about in this matchup, Arizona State versus Texas, because one of the themes of today's show is SEC supremacy is on the line. We're being checked because we loaned the national championship to Michigan last year, but the league wants it back.
Right.
And by the way, everyone knows Ken and Ruben are joining us live on location. So that's why we're endeavoring to keep with them and connect because they've been gracious enough to bring in. So I just want everyone to know where you guys are coming from so we can kind of reset here if you're just joining the broadcast.
Yeah, thank you
Yeah,
so much,
and
guys.
we're even in a different time zone today, guys, and so we were trying to figure out. Wait, it's 9:30 over here in Atlanta, and we're used to being in Central Time, so we're a couple of guys that are we're just trying to get by this morning. It's New Year's Eve. We got a lot on our plate today, but man, I tell you, I just love being around Ruben. He's got so much great energy and passion for the game. And the thing is, the Latino population in Texas is growing and growing and growing, and you also see so many more Hispanic and Latino fans coming to the coming to the.
It was breaking news. I'm sorry, I had to let you guys know.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
The coming, you also see so many more Hispanic and Latino fans coming to the game, and they're becoming more and more of an economic power in Texas. So I'm not surprised at all that the Spanish radio broadcast is doing so well. It's going to do nothing but grow, and the fact that Ruben and his team do such an incredible, fantastic job broadcasting, and of course I love listening to them as well. But again, it's just so much fun. And of course, we have a great broadcasting team with Craig Way and Roger Wallace on the other side of the house. But you put these two together, man, they are just a dynamic duo. But let me tell you a couple of storylines that I think are important. While everybody talks about Cam Scatteraboo, let's not forget about Trey Wisner and Jaden Blue, who rushed for over 200, over almost 300 yards in the win over Clemson. So Arizona State does not have that good of a run defense, and so I'll be interested to see. It'll be a battle of the defensive lines, in my opinion, because Texas is going to want to establish that running game right off the bat. Number two, Quinn Ewers cannot make one of those, and I do call him this, one of those dumb mistakes early. Where he gets the ball batted down. And it gets tipped for an interception, pick six, or gives Arizona State a short field. That's happened multiple times this year where that very thing has happened, and it's put Texas in a hole early. But number three, what I think is going to be very important for the Texas offense is Isaiah Bond, the transfer from Alabama, who had meant so much to Texas earlier in the year, has been cleared to play tomorrow. And, he's been out for several games. And while Texas is very deep at running at a wide receiver, he is a playmaker, and he can do so many things. And of course, he's done so many great things for Texas this year. He's his own human highlight reel. But of course, what I'll always remember, though, and I hate to bring this up, Rob, was last year against Auburn, when he caught Jalen Milroe's pass in the end zone with no time remaining to win the game for Alabama. That guy is huge. And so with him being back on the field, and he's been running full speed this week in practice, we've seen all the video of that the Peach Bowl has posted. I think that's going to be a big, big difference for Texas if they can get the ball to him tomorrow.
Yeah. Ruben, tell us this. In that Clemson-Texas game, that was a pretty tough game. Dabo's teams are always going to show up. Were you at any point concerned in that game? And then give us your thoughts on Arizona State versus Texas, because we know Kenny Dillingham. He was at Memphis, Auburn, Florida State. Then he went to Oregon, and then he's now at Arizona State, like his second year. Reminds me a lot of Doogie Howser. He's about 34 years old. Hell of a coach, though.
Yeah, well, they were a good challenge to go through. Clemson was well prepared, and they were prepared not only for Quinn Ewers, but for Arch Manning as well. And what it worked in that game perfectly was the defense. The defensive line and the linebackers are having a good way to go through the games, refreshing players every certain number of plays. And this is very, very successful, because now, in the past, we had difference between the starter and the second in the list of the position. But now the second and the third one are playing at the same, almost the same level, the starters. So that's a big change in the defense. It's in the place better than when Longhorns won the national championship in 2005, especially the secondary line and the defensive line. The the game against Scotty Boo, we have had other players that run really well the ball, and they couldn't make their regular yardage per game when they played against Longhorns. So I don't think it's going to be a factor for the Longhorns, because if it is not the defensive line, it can be the defensive ends, so the linebackers, even the secondary sometimes tackles behind the line of scrimmage. So that's a big surprise. Interceptions, creating fumbles and all that. The defense is really, really good. And as Ken said, there's a lot of weapons on the quarterback and the runners and the receivers. But there are some other guys that have shown up in different games with their abilities to catch the ball, to run the ball. That is incredible, incredible. The team is getting a power with the coach Tom Herman. The players believe in him, but also has helped a lot the NIL and the transfer portal, because that's the way to choose good players that can come in an emergency situation. And that's what I have left the Longhorns these 2 years.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm looking at Georgia, Notre Dame, Texas, Arizona State. Tonight we've got Boise and Penn State. And then, also just SEC teams. We only had 3 from the league make it this year. And you can say, well, Georgia, South Carolina, and Ole Miss should have made it. They'd have been better than SMU, or they'd have been better than Indiana or Boise. We don't know. What we do know is that game, we got 1 today, 3 tomorrow. Ken, what are you most concerned about with Texas? Quinn Ewers has missed, 7 games the last 3 years due to injuries. Arizona State's defense, how do they compare to the front sevens that you've seen in the SEC?
I mean, Arizona State is definitely does not compare to the front 7 in the SEC.
I didn't think they did. Yeah.
But again, they're coming in with their hair on fire, and they have something to prove. And they have, you're right. Dillingham is a great coach, great young coach. And his guys are fired up. They're sick and tired of hearing about how great Texas is and how, Texas is going to just roll them tomorrow. And so, what Texas is going to have to do is withstand that early momentum that Arizona State's going to bring to the game. So that means no dumb turnovers, no mistakes on special teams. Bert Auburn, who used to just be automatic, has missed, a field goal in every game, I believe, for the last few games. And, he's still a great kicker, but he's not automatic like he used to be. And so, if Texas gets the ball, they get stopped on a drive, and he comes in to kick a 45, 50-yard field goal that used to be just, normal A-OK for him, and misses it and gives Arizona State the ball. I mean, that is not going to be a good thing for Texas. So Texas needs to come out and, establish that they are the bigger, better, badder team early, and squash that Arizona State momentum. Because I mean, again, what I've been reading from them, they're coming in to back it up. And whether they can or not, that's going to be up to the Texas defense. And as Cade Klubnik and Clemson showed last week, Texas gave up 300 yards passing to Klubnik, and so it is possible to get by on Texas. But when it really mattered on those 3rd and 4th down stops there at the end zone, Texas prevailed. So I think it's gonna be a great game tomorrow. And again, Quinn Ewers has just got to be able to direct the game, and I think he's definitely an advantage over Levitt, a redshirt freshman who's never played on this big of a stage. So That's kind of the way I see it. But, that's why we play the game, right, Rob?
Yeah. Brendan, is the SEC going to reclaim its belt with these two matchups? I mean, these are not easy games. You got to buy for Georgia, but look who they get to play in the first game.
Well, look, I'm not gonna pretend to know something. I mean, let's just say they better. I think they really better. I think you got to be better than ASU. And look, I have been on ASU all year. I think they're a pretty good program. They're not the SEC. They're completely outmatched. It's completely outgunned. I don't care what anyone says. Texas should wipe the floor with this game. It should not be a conversation. This should be one of those games that's over by the third. I really feel like this, and I know what everyone's saying, but that's how. And if they're not, then they got to retool and go back, because the SEC needs to reclaim itself in here. Because I feel like the SEC has been a lot stronger this year than they've given credit for, and they have beaten up each other. Yeah. I think it's one of those classic years where the SEC has really took each other out and had all around across the board. But from Vanderbilt up, it has been not an easy win in the SEC this year. And I think Georgia and Texas, I think they got some red ass ready for everybody else to show the world that the SEC is for real.
I'm with you.
Texas better represent, damn it. You're in the SEC now.
Yeah. Y'all, Ruben,
together, Longhorns.
Yeah.
Let's see it. Now you're up. That's how it works in the SEC. You're up.
Yeah.
Now go represent us and don't F it up.
Yeah. I mean, this is the first year that Texas has been in the league, and then they played for the SEC championship.
That's right.
And now they're in the play. This is
you get some SEC love now. This is how it works in the SEC. You get our love now because you won it. You got to the dance. We'll pull for you. Don't F it up.
Yeah. Trust me, Auburn fans have never been forgiven for losing that one to Florida State. You're up 21-3 and you let them come back. But look, Ruben, we'll go a few more minutes and we'll wrap up. I know y'all have got a big day ahead of you. And by the way, Ruben, how big is the media contingent down there at Mercedes-Benz Stadium covering this playoff game?
It's been great. I mean, the media recognizes us really well because we've been among the group for many years, and the thing here, for example, for the Spanish is a very special place because sometimes the last game we played from the last row of seats here, the Mercedes-Benz, but now seems like we're going to have a real booth. For many years, we were rooftop specialists, because nobody knew that they were Texas had a Spanish team.
Are you serious?
No, yeah. Broadcasting in Kansas with temperature of 28 degrees and winds of 25 miles per hour for 5 hours out on the elements. I mean, nothing has to be changed in the microphone. You got to have the same energy and everything. And starting with one thing that Ken says, the Longhorns would like to go back to Mexico. Yes, you want to hear those news very soon. They are going back to play in Mexico.
Wow. You heard it here, man. I mean, this is
they play in Mexico City? Is that where they're going to play?
Yes, Estadio Azteca against the UTSA or UTEP. Gotta be a sister university.
Gotta be. But what's that? I've never been to. I mean, could they have? What's the stadium like there?
The stadium is the only stadium where NFL has put the highest number of people.
I was gonna say, is that the same one that they did for the NFL?
105,000.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. I was like, that's bigger than the big house.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, and the fans, when you go to Mexico City's 18 million people there, they really do they love football down there, and it's NFL is huge down there. And of course in Texas, I just think about as this sport grows, Ken, you see it, Brendan, I do, Ruben, the interest in the games, NIL, the portal, all that stuff, somehow we got to fix it, but the product on the field is as entertaining as I've ever seen it. And just these, if you get 4 million people watching a game nowadays, that's a good number. We're told Georgia, Alabama had 12 million. I think 8 of the top 10 most viewed games in America this year have been in the SEC. And I say that because 75% of the TV sets in America live in the geographical footprint that is the Big Ten. So there's a lot of testosterone on the line here. You've got SEC Big 12 here, and then Georgia versus Notre Dame, which is, I think, the only independent left. So
I think as far as ratings are concerned, I think that will be the big game. Obviously, with the Domers, everyone and their mother and NBC all got to deal with them. But but I think what we'll see, I think we'll see a bigger interest, in this game than people think.
Yeah.
I think because people don't really know this Western Coast football, this Arizona football, and I think people don't understand there is a fan base and they do care about the football. And so I think, look, Jake Plummer, Jake the Snake. Hey man, that meant a lot to me when I was in Orleans all 20 some years ago, and he pulled off an upset. So this is great because this is the parody from back in the day. And I like I said, I'm excited for both to see both these SEC teams play and the games play. I'm jealous you guys are down there. I don't like the Atlanta setting for it, but maybe we can work on that next year.
I would like
Well,
for
Brandon, you guys better load up. You guys better load up the satellite dish, because when Texas does play in Mexico City, we'll all have to have the same dynamic four from the stadium in Mexico City doing the show that whole week.
Oh yeah.
Well, it's going to be.
I'm going to listen to Ruben on the radio. Is what I'm going to do.
Please do. One thing about our broadcast is this is the thing. They have made us famous because the video team for the Longhorns football, they play our calls in the Instagram. Okay.
Oh yeah.
But the thing is this one, that our call is for radio, not for video. If you see the video, it's oversaturated in the broadcast with our voice. But what is radio is theater of the mind. You gotta play the voice, the tempo, the intensity, the volume, and create a scene in the audience for them to see it through the words. That's why it looks awesome in a video.
Brendan, do we have any of the thing we can pull up real quick to show? I know I had Ruben send you some stuff. If we can show it, great. If not, I understand.
I don't know. You sent me a lot of downloads and stuff, Ruben. I didn't really.
Okay.
I can't really. It's hard to download, re-upload.
Okay.
Process, but if you had something online, I could pull it up. But it's easier for me.
Ruben, what's your signature? What's your signature call though on a touchdown? Like we all know the soccer, the guy hit it good. There's.
Well, the only word in English that we use in our broadcast is touchdown.
Touchdown
is the only word. We don't translate anything else.
It doesn't.
But what we do, especially after the score, is to say the name and the nickname of the player. And if there was a pass, who was the one who sent the pass, who was the one who caught it, and with their respective nicknames, please.
Yeah. That's how it is in soccer. So, right. Yeah.
The only thing that seems like soccer is when they have a field goal.
Right.
I go, the ball is center, the ball is on the air, and goal. I don't say goal, but they say anota,
Anota. If you were, so I used to do slow motion replay in the TV truck, right? So when the color announcer is talking about the replay, we have to marry the video as we're listening. We have to listen to the broadcasters go. So we're pacing out as they're talking about, we're speeding up or slowing down the slow motion replay. So oftentimes we're always married to the color or to the play-by-play person as they're going through. And so each country and each culture, they do it differently, right? They want to know different parts of the game. So like in soccer, it's all about taking it back to like, whoa, no, the pass, it's like hockey, right? Like, where did it originate from behind the blue line? Where did the play start? And I think that's interesting to hear that lens applied to football, because they're interested, a lot of times we talk about, touchdown dance, who scored, whatever, but I think that they think differently because of soccer. Ruben, would you agree that you think of, now that you know the difference, that your brain for football, American brain, and your
Yeah.
Mexican brain are different. And do you think that would ever affect if Mexico, because I know they're going to get a football team one day.
Yeah, no.
Think that would be a different type of football? Or are we going to
Well-
be talking about the, you know?
No. The way we broadcast is teaching the people about football because not everybody knows all the elements of football.
Yeah.
We teach the people. We have a coach in our broadcast, a color commentator. At halftime, he explains the type of defense that we are seeing, the type of offense, all those movements. But my twin brother, you know him, Craig Way.
Yeah.
He says that my broadcast make it seem like they're gonna score in every play, and I would say, wouldn't they? That's what
I
it's
love this.
played.
That's a high compliment.
Yeah.
All right, Brendan, when they go to Mexico City, we're going. Okay,
Got to.
I'm taking
I'm
us.
an OG in Mexico City, man. I know what's up. You take me to Mexico. I hablo español.
Well, the thing is
Brand-
this one. Be
Brendan
careful.
might not be able to go to Mexico. There may be some kind of hold on his passport. I don't know.
No, sir. No. I divorced her. We're good.
Well, be careful going to Mexico eating tacos because the tacos are addictive.
But they're different tacos. They're street
different.
tacos. Street
Right.
tacos are not the same.
And
They're
tacos are eaten with the hand.
Carnitas, let's say, un poquito más.
We went up to Cuernavaca.
Limón?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
and
100 of them.
you go to the volcanoes, Ixtlahuatl and Popocatépetl, and golly, there is that will be an incredible event when there's now you could have one day an SEC matchup. Texas move a home game and somebody pay them, $50 million to do it. That would be, I could see that coming because college football is powerful. But look, we'll wrap it up, man. Wow, this is cool, and we made it work. Y'all are on location.
Thanks,
Cap-
guys.
Yeah, this is awesome. And Ruben, Ken, give us a retweet. Put this out there in social media. We love all of our viewers, and we're the most blessed country in the world. With
Thanks
the
for coming,
greatest
guys.
people.
Well, good luck watching the game. You guys be well.
Yeah, we'll
Happy
be
New
watching.
Year, guys.
Happy New Year to you. And thank you, Ruben. Thank you.
Thank y'all. Hey, Brendan, there's no limit. There's
Great
no
guys.
limit to what will happen when this game keeps growing. I think it's fascinating. So that was cool. They were 20 feet apart. Somehow we were able to pull it off. Hey,
We'll talk about the technical issues later.
yeah. We'll have to work through that. But
Everyone's in trouble with Daddy.
yeah, well,
I'm gonna bring down. I'll have a big meeting on the beach later.
hey, oh no. But hey, we'll take off tomorrow, Brendan, and Thursday.
Yeah.
No,
We'll see. I might come on just all hammered at 12:15 and just. Make
Oh,
sure
look,
everyone-
we'll come back on Friday.
Friday.
Take
Not
off
coming
tomorrow
on
and
day
Thursday.
Right. We got to come on and just talk about the games.
All right, you want to come on tomorrow, or you want to come
When's
on
the
Thursday?
game? Wait, when's the game?
The games are tonight and
Tonight
tomorrow.
and tomorrow, right?
Do
So
we want to
gotta
come on?
Friday? I know, but then we have to come on. I'm just thinking days of the week, so we have to then come on Friday. Then
Okay, so we'll
we
take
can't
off.
miss the day after the games.
Right, we'll be back on Thursday.
Thursday.
Yeah, we'll be back on Thursday. Look, Brendan, y'all have a great time down there. Thank you so much. This is awesome. Happy New Year. Unbelievable growth in the greatest game in America. Folks, check out all of our sponsors. We're proud to have them. Thanks for watching. Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year. Night, John Boy.
Hi, John Boy.
In a perfect world, you'd set a health goal and results would happen overnight. In this world, the real world, it takes time, dedication, and the right support to achieve your best self. The Vitamin Shoppe health enthusiasts are here to make sure you're not wasting a single moment on the wrong supplements. From the highest quality sports nutrition and superfoods to the most sought after trends, you'll find a huge variety of science-backed solutions for every goal, and the people to help guide you along the path to greatness.
Unbelievably, every 2 minutes in our communities, a child is either bought or sold for sex. I am Ari Dickey, board member for the Nashville Anti-Human Trafficking Coalition. Join me and millions of others in our fight against human trafficking and for its victims by helping to educate the most vulnerable among us, our middle and high school students. Go to nhtcoalition.org, become a partner, and help keep our families safe, because none of God's children are for sale.